Robert Hansen, a name etched in the annals of espionage, seemed an unlikely candidate for such treachery. Born in Chicago in 1944, Hansen's early life appeared ordinary. He grew up in a middle-class family, his father a Chicago police officer. Hansen's path took an unexpected turn when he joined the FBI in 1976. On the surface, Hansen excelled in his new role. However, beneath this veneer of professionalism lurked a hidden world of deceit. The world of espionage held a dangerous allure for Hansen. It promised excitement, intrigue, and a chance to operate outside the confines of his seemingly mundane life. The Cold War raged on, and the ideological battle between the United States and the Soviet Union provided a backdrop of tension and paranoia. Driven by a desire for financial reward and a perverse sense of satisfaction, he made contact with Soviet intelligence. Thus began a double life that would span decades and leave an indelible stain on the FBI and American national security. Hansen's betrayal cut deep, shaking the foundations of trust within the intelligence community. In 1985, Hansen's career took him deep into the heart of the intelligence world. He was assigned to the Soviet Analytical Unit in New York City. His role to analyze Soviet intelligence and identify potential vulnerabilities. This seemingly mundane desk job gave him access to a treasure trove of classified information. Hansen, however, saw it as an opportunity. He began his clandestine correspondence with the KGB, the Soviet Union's intelligence agency. He used his knowledge of Soviet tradecraft to avoid detection. He communicated through dead drops and coded messages, operating with a meticulousness that would become his hallmark. The FBI, unaware of the serpent in their midst, continued to entrust Hansen with increasingly sensitive information. Hansen's treachery came at a heavy price, both for his country and for the individuals whose lives he endangered. One of the most egregious betrayals involved the exposure of Dmitry Polyakov, a high-ranking Soviet general who had been secretly providing intelligence to the United States for decades. Thanks to Hansen's betrayal, Polyakov was arrested by the Soviets in 1986 and later executed. The loss of such a valuable asset was a major blow to U.S. intelligence. Hansen's actions also compromised numerous other sensitive operations. His disclosures allowed the KGB to feed disinformation to the U.S. government, further undermining American intelligence efforts. As the 1980s progressed, Hansen's activities continued undetected. He moved between different assignments within the FBI, all the while secretly betraying his country. After the collapse of the Soviet Empire, he also provided information to Russian intelligence services. Hansen's motivations remained murky. While financial gain played a part, he seemed driven by a deeper, more complex set of desires. He sought the thrill of deception, the power that came from manipulating those around him. Meanwhile, the FBI, oblivious to the threat within, grappled with the changing landscape of global espionage. The true extent of Hansen's betrayal is staggering. He compromised not just individual operations, but entire systems and programs. His actions had a chilling effect on the U.S. intelligence community, sowing seeds of distrust and paranoia that would linger for years. Among his most damaging disclosures was the betrayal of the existence and capabilities of a highly classified electronic surveillance system. This system, known as Ivy Bells, allowed the U.S. to intercept Soviet communications from underwater cables. Hansen's revelation of this program dealt a significant blow to American intelligence gathering capabilities. The cost of Hansen's treachery went beyond compromised operations and lost intelligence. It eroded the trust that underpinned the entire intelligence apparatus. As the 1990s unfolded, and Russia emerged from the ashes of the Soviet Union, a sense of unease settled over the U.S. intelligence community. There was a growing awareness that a mole, a deeply embedded agent, was operating within their ranks. The FBI and CIA launched a series of internal investigations, desperately seeking to identify the source of the leaks that had plagued them for years. Suspicions swirled, and careers were destroyed as colleagues turned on each other, each questioning the other's loyalty. The mole, however, remained elusive. Hansen, operating with his characteristic cunning, avoided detection. He continued to hold a position of trust within the FBI, even as he systematically betrayed his country. Hansen, a master of deception, employed sophisticated tradecraft to communicate with his handlers. He eschewed face-to-face meetings, opting instead for a system of dead drops and coded messages. This meticulous approach allowed him to operate undetected for years. One of Hansen's preferred methods of communication involved a park near his home in Vienna, Virginia. He would leave information for his handlers in a concealed package, often disguised as a piece of trash or a discarded item. Hansen also utilized advanced encryption techniques to protect his communications. Despite his outward appearance of normalcy, Hansen's double life was taking its toll. He was plagued by guilt and paranoia, haunted by the potential consequences of his actions. He sought solace in religion, converting to Catholicism and becoming increasingly devout. However, Hansen's newfound piety did little to alleviate his inner turmoil. As Hansen's espionage activities continued into the new millennium, the FBI was finally closing in. They had identified him as a possible suspect, and their investigation was gaining momentum. By the late 1990s, the FBI and CIA were deeply concerned about the possibility of a mole within their ranks. The intelligence community had suspected for years that someone was leaking classified information, but their efforts to root out the traitor had been met with frustrating dead ends. Despite their best efforts, the mole remained a phantom, silently undermining American security from the shadows. The investigation into Hansen's activities began in earnest in the late 1990s. A dedicated team of investigators from the FBI and CIA worked tirelessly to piece together the puzzle, painstakingly analyzing years of intelligence leaks and suspicious activity. They knew they were dealing with a highly intelligent and resourceful adversary, someone who understood the intricacies of counterintelligence and knew how to cover their tracks. The investigators began by narrowing down the list of potential suspects, focusing on individuals who had access to the compromised information and who fit the profile of a mole. They scrutinized personnel records, financial transactions, and travel itineraries, looking for any anomalies or red flags that might point them in the right direction. As the investigation progressed, a name began to emerge from the shadows: Robert Hansen. However, the investigators were cautious. They needed concrete evidence to bring down one of their own, and Hansen, a master of deception, had left few traces of his treachery. The FBI needed to catch Hansen red-handed. They devised an elaborate plan to lure him into a trap, one that would expose his treachery and bring his decades of espionage to an end. The trap was set at Foxstone Park, a quiet park near Hansen's home in Vienna, Virginia. This seemingly unremarkable location had been a frequent drop-off point for Hansen's clandestine communications with his Russian handlers. On February 18, 2001, under the cover of darkness, FBI agents swarmed Foxstone Park, their movements hidden from view. They lay in wait, their eyes fixed on a specific dead-drop location where Hansen had been instructed to leave a package for his Russian handlers. As the cold winter night wore on, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Robert Hansen. He moved cautiously towards the dead-drop location, his face obscured by the darkness. In his hands, he carried a package containing classified information that, if it had fallen into the wrong hands, could have had devastating consequences for American security. News of Hansen's arrest sent shockwaves through the United States and beyond. The media descended upon the story with a vengeance, eager to uncover the details of the FBI's stunning catch. Headlines screamed across newspapers and websites, proclaiming the capture of one of the most damaging spies in American history. The public was stunned and outraged. How could one of their own, an FBI agent sworn to protect their country, betray his oath and betray his nation for so long? The sense of betrayal was palpable, cutting deep into the fabric of trust that held the nation together. People struggled to comprehend how someone they had entrusted with their safety and security could commit such a treacherous act. The Hansen case became a national obsession, a cautionary tale about the dangers of espionage and the human capacity for betrayal. It dominated the news cycle for weeks, overshadowing even the looming threat of terrorism that would soon grip the nation. The arrest of Robert Hansen sent shockwaves through the American intelligence community. The FBI and CIA, once considered the world's premier intelligence agencies, were reeling from the revelation that one of their own had betrayed them so profoundly. The damage to their morale and reputation was immeasurable. The intelligence community faced a long and painful reckoning in the wake of the Hansen case. They launched a series of internal investigations and reviews, determined to understand how Hansen had managed to evade detection for so long and to prevent such a devastating breach from happening again. The FBI and CIA implemented a series of reforms aimed at strengthening their counterintelligence capabilities and tightening security protocols. They expanded their polygraph programs, increased background checks for employees, and created new units dedicated to detecting and preventing insider threats. Despite their best efforts, the intelligence community knew that the Hanssen case had left an indelible scar. The trust that had been broken would take years, if not decades, to fully repair. Hanssen's arrest sent shockwaves through the intelligence community and the nation. The man who had so effectively operated in the shadows was now thrust into the harsh glare of the spotlight. The world watched in disbelief as the seemingly ordinary FBI agent transformed into a symbol of betrayal. Hanssen's trial was a media spectacle, captivating the nation and the world. Prosecutors meticulously laid out the case against him, presenting a mountain of evidence that painted a damning picture of his treachery. Facing overwhelming evidence against him, Hanssen struck a plea bargain to avoid the death penalty. He pleaded guilty to 15 counts of espionage in exchange for a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. The plea deal brought a sense of closure to the case, but it did little to ease the pain and anger felt by those he had betrayed. In 2002, Hanssen stood before a federal judge and received his sentence. The judge, in handing down the sentence, called Hanssen's actions a grave betrayal of his country and his oath. Section 2. A Legacy of Betrayal. Robert Hanssen's name is now synonymous with espionage and betrayal. He is remembered as one of the most damaging spies in American history, a man who betrayed his country, his colleagues, and his family for personal gain. His actions had a profound impact on U.S. national security, compromising sensitive operations and intelligence sources for over 2 decades. The Hanssen case exposed vulnerabilities within the U.S. intelligence community, leading to a series of reforms and a renewed focus on counterintelligence. The FBI and CIA implemented new security protocols, increased background checks, and dedicated more resources to identifying and preventing insider threats. However, the damage done by Hanssen's treachery extended far beyond compromised operations and lost intelligence. His betrayal shook the foundations of trust within the intelligence community and eroded public confidence in the government's ability to protect its secrets. Hanssen's legacy is a sobering reminder of the enduring threat of espionage and the human capacity for deceit. His story serves as a cautionary tale about the importance of vigilance, the need for robust security measures, and the ever-present danger of insider threats. Section 3. The Enduring Lessons of Espionage. The Robert Hanssen espionage case stands as a chilling reminder of the enduring threat posed by insider threats. It underscores the fact that even the most sophisticated security measures can be compromised by individuals driven by greed, ideology, or a perverse sense of loyalty to a foreign power. One of the key takeaways from the Hanssen case is the importance of robust counterintelligence measures. Identifying potential moles within intelligence agencies requires a multifaceted approach, including thorough background checks, financial monitoring, and behavioral analysis. It also requires fostering a culture of vigilance within these organizations, encouraging employees to report suspicious activity without fear of reprisal. Another crucial lesson is the need for effective damage assessment following a spy case. Once a mole has been identified, it is essential to determine the full extent of the compromised information and take steps to mitigate the damage. This may involve changing operational procedures, recalling compromised assets, and notifying foreign partners. The Hanssen case also highlights the importance of international cooperation in combating espionage. Intelligence agencies around the world must work together to share information, coordinate investigations, and bring spies to justice. In an increasingly interconnected world, international cooperation is essential to countering the transnational threat of espionage.